The Babysitter's Club Guide to Babysitting is a beefed up version of the Babysitter's Club Notebook, which was released towards the start of the series. It's like their way of admitting the first book was garbage, so here's a book that will actually help you become a babysitter.
Argo Funk Book Review. Argo Funk Book Review.
This book was written by Jonna Beecham and Malcolm Hillgartner. Anne Martin wrote a one-page introduction. Part 1 starts with a list of things you can do to prepare, like read a book on babysitting, take childcare classes, or volunteer. There are different ways to advertise yourself as a sitter, and suggested items to bring with you for the kids to play with. Okay, so that's pretty much the exact same material as the Babysitter's Club notebook. The difference is that this guide has way more information. It's not just a 32-page pamphlet pretending to be a book, it's an actual book. For example, it doesn't just say, make a flyer, and then leave it at that. It says, make a flyer, and it gives you 2 sample flyers that you can copy. There are also a lot of notes from the babysitters. Jessie comments on how late she's allowed to babysit, Claudia comments on the artwork for your flyer, and Marianne talks about scheduling. Having notes from the babysitters is a nice touch. It truly makes this feel like a Babysitter's Club book, not an unrelated side book like the first one was. The next big section is when the job starts. What questions should you ask the parents? How to handle kids with separation anxiety? There are lots of suggestions for what you can do with the kids, and it's separated by age. This is great. Not to keep insulting the Babysitter's Club notebook, but it had like 1 page of activities for all kids ever. Then there's how to handle kids when they fight, and how to feed kids. What to do during bath time and bedtime are both useful sections. I don't think the Babysitter's Club books have ever had any bath time scenes. I can remember one scene of trouble putting kids to bed, but that's it. The book discusses nightmares, crying babies, and what to do when the parents come home. I love how there is a separate section on what to do if the parents come home drunk and you don't want them to drive you home. Oh my gosh, if they made a Babysitter's Club book with that storyline, I would love it! I can only assume they didn't write that book because the ghostwriters couldn't agree on which client should have a drinking problem. I'm thinking the Preziozos are Mrs. Barrett. Part 2 of the book is fan mail, basically. We get brief descriptions of 4 different babysitting groups, which were inspired by the book series. I checked them out on the internet, and it looks like all of them are no longer in business. And here I was all ready for Noelle from Iowa City to throw my kids a Little Mermaid birthday party. Part 3 is a long Q&A with Anne Martin. According to the copyright page, these letters first appeared on a Babysitter's Club online service. That's a clever way to get extra mileage out of old content. Anne Martin gives nice advice on babysitting-related questions. Like, what if one kid wants to be inside, but the other kid wants to be outside? What if I have to babysit someone who's only a year younger than me? There are multiple questions about bad clients who try to get free babysitting and free chores. Those scoundrels. The Q&A with Anne Martin takes up 20 pages, although I should note the questions are blocked off and have large titles. So technically, it's more like 15 pages, but no big deal. This is a good section, and it was a good idea to include it, even if some fans have already seen those questions and answers online. Part 4 is about medical emergencies, like poisoning, burns, dog bites, a kid is unconscious and you don't know why, and so on. It's a useful reference guide, and it was double-checked by actual doctors before the book went to print. This section is about 25 pages long, with occasional pictures. The entire book has small pictures, except for the Q&A part. Part 5 also doesn't have pictures. It has blank pages that you can fill in yourself. First is a client directory for keeping the family's contact info, notes about the kids, and emergency numbers. That's rather handy. Then there are some blank 5-week calendars for scheduling purposes. There's a money chart to keep track of how much you've earned. There's a column for hours worked and the client's rate per hour. I like how the book assumes that different clients will pay different rates. That's more realistic than the book series, which assumes that everyone in town pays the same rate. Finally, there's a notebook section with blank pages for you to write whatever you want. The back cover has a place for you to put your own emergency contact information, so if you have a heart attack while babysitting or something, the kids will know to double check this book to get you some help. The end. Post book follow up. This is a decent book for what it is. It's way better than the Babysitter's Club notebook. It's got a lot more information, and it makes an effort to be connected to the book series. Could it have been better and had more information? Yeah, I think it could be 10 pages longer, easily. But even if it could be better, I still wouldn't say it's bad. I would recommend getting rid of the part where they list different babysitting clubs around the country. That information is nice to know, but it doesn't help readers become babysitters. Overall, I'd say it's an okay guide for people who want to learn how to be babysitters. If a middle schooler asked me to give them a babysitting guide, I would have no regrets giving them this book. I give the Babysitter's Club Guide to Babysitting an 8 out of 10.